Today I wanted to talk about Giancarlo Stanton. It's going to be similar to the Kyle Schwarber video I did a couple days ago, and if you guys haven't checked that out, be sure to go check it out after watching this video on Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton has been one of my favorite players in baseball really as long as I can remember. He was one of the first players I kind of started gravitating towards once I started kind of breaking out of my shell as a baseball fan. Giancarlo Stanton and full tenure with the Miami Marlins was just such a joy to watch. Shaky situation when he got traded to the Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton all time is still one of my favorite players. Stanton is definitely not the player he once was in Miami. Even still to this day at 35 years old, he's still slugging home runs. That's the question I'm going to try to answer today. Can Giancarlo Stanton slug his way into the Hall of Fame? I'm saying yes, I absolutely think Giancarlo Stanton can become a Hall of Famer. I think Stanton continues to play, make an attempt at the 500 home run mark. When he got called up to the Marlins in the early 2010s, he was immediately their prize superstar player. His first full season in 2011, he batted .262 with 34 home runs and 87 RBIs. Finished 23rd in the MVP voting as a 21-year-old, and he had an OPS plus of 141 in 150 games of work. Stanton would then make his first All-Star team in 2012 as a 22-year-old and also hit 37 home runs and drive in 86 for the Marlins that year. 2014, he finished runner-up in the MVP voting behind Clayton Kershaw. He would hit a league-leading 37 home runs or drive in 105 RBIs while batting .288 with a .950 OPS and a .164 OPS plus. He would win his first Silver Slugger in 2014 as well as another All-Star appearance. Also keep in mind it was a 2014 season where Mike Fiers would hit Stanton in the face. It's one of the gnarliest baseball injuries I think I've ever seen. Giancarlo Stanton was the first person to kind of start the trend of the face guard. While I don't think Stanton would have won the MVP this year because Kershaw was just on an entirely different level, I still think his counting stats could have been that much better with at least 2 weeks left in the season. The following 2 seasons for Stanton were kind of riddled with injuries, but he was still putting up good numbers in terms of counting stats. 27 home runs in both seasons. He still had an OPS plus above 120 with the 2015 season. He had an OPS plus of 159. His great 2014 season would predicate the massive extension that he got from the Marlins and the largest contract in MLB history at the time. A 13-year, $325 million extension to stay with the Marlins. 2017 was the year Giancarlo Stanton truly emerged as one of the best players in baseball. Giancarlo Stanton's 2017 season is one of the best seasons in recent memory. One of the most feared hitters in baseball in 2017. One of the best players in baseball in 2017. It was the healthiest season of Stanton's career, playing in 159 games. He batted .281 with 59 home runs to lead all of baseball and 132 RBIs to lead all of baseball. He had an OPS over 1,000 with a OPS plus, which led the National League at 169. It was his 4th All-Star appearance, his 2nd Silver Slugger, beating out Joey Votto's 2017 season to win the National League MVP, becoming the first and only Miami Marlins player to ever win the award. This is also in the same reality where the Miami Marlins really weren't that good. It didn't help with the fact that the Marlins really weren't able to bring in any additional help. Stanton, some of his best teammates were a really young Christian Yelich and Marcell Ozuna. Also, the team really never recovered with the passing of Jose Fernandez. When Stanton initially got to the Marlins and opened up his career, it was coming at a very weird time for Marlins baseball. In his first few seasons in the league, they opened up a new stadium. They brought in a lot of talent, whether it was Jose Reyes or Mark Burley, among others. A lot of those deals and a lot of those signings just didn't pan out, and they were throwing big money to guys who ended up sucking for them, which really put the Marlins back, and they were lucky that Christian Yelich and Marcell Ozuna became homegrown stars. Stanton was who he was. They never finished with a winning record while Stanton was on the team, and of course never saw the playoffs, even though they did have fun teams during the mid-2010s. I think the mid-2010 Marlins were some of my favorite teams to watch. Seeing that outfield trio and seeing the likes of D. Gordon, among others, it just never led to anything. And then 2018 happens. A new president of baseball operations and Derek Jeter. His order of business with the Marlins was to break up the core group of players that Miami had been building with the last few years. They ended up trading their entire star outfield in Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton. Yelich would get sent to the Brewers. Ozuna would get sent to the Cardinals. Of course, Stanton would get sent to the Yankees, all leading to diminishing returns. This is just an editor's note. Sandy Alcantara was traded in the Marcell Ozuna trade with the Cardinals and eventually win the 2022 National League Cy Young Award. I would say he's probably the best prize out of any of the trades that they made out of the 3. But anyways, back to the video. Really dug the Marlins a massive, massive hole. For Stanton's sake, he was the reigning National League MVP, going to a team that would also include the reigning Rookie of the Year and MLB phenom Aaron Judge, creating one of the scariest home run duos that we've seen in quite a while. Stanton was at the time a great pickup for the Yankees, was a very good follow-up to his MVP season. And obviously through the years, Stanton would be a consistent presence in that Yankee lineup in terms of production. His first 3 full seasons with the Yankees, that's 2018, 2021, and 2022, he hit over 30 home runs in each of those seasons. Subsequent seasons still having really good power numbers as well, eventually becoming the DH of the New York Yankees. He was huge for the Yankees on their way to the World Series, winning the ALCS MVP by only hitting home runs. I believe he had like 5 hits in that series, and all of them were home runs, and huge home runs at that. Over the course of Stanton's 16-year career, he was good for a .258 batting average, 28 home runs and 72 RBIs, with an OPS of 873 and an OPS plus of 137. His 448 career home runs is most among active players, with the second closest being Mike Trout, who's about 50 home runs behind. Throughout his 16-year career, he's accrued 46.3 WAR. Stanton's numbers could absolutely be so much better if it wasn't for some of the injuries he had to suffer. Obviously, the broken face he suffered at the end of the 2014 season kept him out for quite a while, only playing 74 games in 2015. Between the entirety of the 2019 season and shortened 2020 season, Stanton only played a combined 41 games. From the 2021 season and onward, he was having some of the healthiest seasons he had in a long time. And to break in the new decade, he was still hitting at the rate he was used to, hitting 30 home runs a year, driving in over 100 RBI. He was being the perfect partner for Aaron Judge, who was ascending into superstardom himself. And we even get into this season, only playing in 62 games to this point in the season because he had to deal with injuries to his elbows. Stanton has hit 19 home runs.
And the payoff. Drill deep to left field. There it goes. See ya. Into the left field bleachers.
He was one of the hottest hitters when he came back, having the highest WAR season since his 2021 year. His low WAR totals is to be expected because pretty much when he got to the Yankees, they just kind of phased him into being a DH and an everyday DH. Stanton still hits the ball hard. He's still a producer at the plate. It's more about staying on the field for him, and I think that's where the long-term outlook on where his career kind of stands in the grand scheme of baseball, the injuries as well as his counting stats. Stanton had missed a lot of time, and that took a lot of opportunity away for him to really get his career numbers up to a higher mark. I think Stanton plays at least till 2028, where he would be 38, around 38, 39 years old. I'm not sure the Yankees will pick him up for the 2028 season. I do think he would at least play until 2028. I think a team would throw a flyer at him, or maybe even the Marlins would even try to get a reunion. Who knows? Only a few more weeks left before the postseason. I think Stanton could at least hit 3 more home runs before the season's over to put him around 451 career home runs. Mildly healthy seasons between now and 2028. He would have to average around 16 home runs a season to get close to 500, which I think he could blow out of the water, especially if he's healthy. I saw with the idea that the 500 home run mark shouldn't be recognized as a golden ticket to make the Hall of Fame. People are trying to devalue that fact. You're looking at some of the best names, some of the greatest names that this game has ever seen. It's like, that's the thing about baseball. Baseball is not set to just one archetype of player. 500 career home runs is kind of the benchmark that we measure some of the greatest power hitters that this game has ever seen. Just like the 3,000 hit mark is one of the big benchmarks of making the Hall of Fame. Not everyone is going to be a Tony Gwynn. Not everybody is going to be an Adrian Beltre. Not everybody is going to be an Ichiro Suzuki. These 500 career home runs is not a small feat. Moving the goalposts because of the era guys are playing in is just asinine to me. The fact that there's a vast majority of people who have hit that mark have been tied to performance enhancing drugs, tied to steroids. Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, those guys would have made the Hall of Fame without steroids. How many more players are you going to see for a while that are going to hit 500 career home runs? Could you have Stanton? Trout possibly could get there if he can remain healthy for the rest of his career. Stanton's going to be the last person to hit 500 career home runs for a while. And the thing is, with 500 career home runs, it's about longevity. It's about how good you were at your peak, having consistent power numbers throughout your entire career. One more healthy season for Stanton could really put him in striking distance. Like, people try to make an argument with Kyle Schwarber, and like, I can understand why people wouldn't view someone like Schwarber Hall of Fame material. I understand that's the whole point of it being a debate. Someone like Stanton, with the resume that he has an MVP. He's got to hit 500 career home runs. Even though I don't think it's likely if the Yankees won a World Series, or if they even won the World Series last year, that would have put him in larger consideration, in my opinion. Stanton was the premier power hitter when he was at his best. StatCast exists for people like Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton walked so Aaron Judge could run. If you had to compare Stanton Hall of Famers already in Cooperstown, you would look at people like Harmon Killebrew, look at Jim Rice. On top of his resume, MVP, multiple time Silver Slugger, hitting 500 career home runs and beyond, you are up there with some of the greatest power hitting players of all time. I feel is all that thing he has the most control over for sure, because he has the resume that I feel is good enough to warrant consideration. While he doesn't have the postseason success, I think it's also a matter of the teams you play for, and whether people want to admit it or not, he has been important to some of the postseason runs the Yankees have had in recent years, especially last season. Entering his twilight years, he's still being able to contribute for the Yankees. As they continue to try to get a World Series ring, it would be a storybook ending for Giancarlo Stanton to be able to call himself a Hall of Fame player. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think I'm crazy? You guys think Giancarlo Stanton deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say, so please let me know down below. Like this video, share it around with your friends, and also show your support at Vendetta Media by subscribing to the YouTube channel and checking us out over at vendettasportsmedia.com to stay up to date with all your favorite sports. We got NFL, NBA, MLB, you name it. Promise you guys would not be disappointed by checking us out and supporting Vendetta Sports Media. With all that being said, guys, that's going to do it for me, and I will catch you guys in the next one.